Jordan, the NBA's leading scorer. Dominique Wilkins, the league's #2 point provider. Two superstars whose similar talents have resulted in opposite returns. Both exploded into the NBA as youngsters. But Michael's 3 MVPs, 2 consecutive championships, and 7 scoring titles have annually kept Dominique in the shadows and searching for his first world championship. The quest continued in Chicago Friday night as Wilkins faced off against Jordan and the Bulls. But Chicago's finest was untouchable. Michael's 18 first quarter points, 35 for the night, erased any efforts by Dominique and the Hawks. A 24-point blowout by the Bulls sent a stinging message to the Hawks. Today, the battle resumes. Game 2 is next. Welcome to Chicago Stadium, the home of the 2-time defending champion Chicago Bulls. Sellout crowd, 18,000 turning out for Game 2 of the best-of-5 between the Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks as Dominique Wilkins fires up the 3. Marv Albert with Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad. What a stunner between the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns once again as the Lakers make it a 2-0 lead in the best-of-5, and we'll be bringing you all kinds of post-game coverage coming up at halftime with Bob Costas back at our New York studios. The Bulls off to a 6-0 lead. The Hawks are 0 for their first 5.
Chicago has done a very good job of starting out, putting the ball down low inside. Everything for Atlanta has tried to come from the perimeter. They are not making their outside shots, something Bobby Weiss wants to do. Take it to the basket.
And Dominique Wilkins did just that, could not hit. It is kicked out of bounds by the Bulls.
Known for their ability to pass the basketball and play unselfishly. Grant flashing in the lane, getting off to a quick start just as he did in game #1 against Atlanta.
And the Hawks 0 for their first 8. Contact guarded by Cartwright. Here is Stacey Altman. Make it 0 for 9. Dominique Wilkins on the recovery. Picked up on the switch by B.J. Armstrong. Mookie Blaylock and John Contact. Finally, Kevin Willis is able to put it down, and the Bulls now lead 6-2. And a 20-second timeout has been called by Phil Jackson. So Atlanta firing away 1 of 11 to get it going here at the Stone.
And playing right into Atlanta's hands, they had, rather playing right into what Chicago wanted them to do. Atlanta had guys taking shots that are not their strength. Finally, the strength. Willis in close under the basket. Problem in game 1 for Atlanta, Kevin Willis only played 9 minutes in the first half, got in early foul trouble. He's their best rebounder. He's number 5 in the NBA. They were crushed on the glass. A number of offensive rebounds by Chicago to jump out early on the Hawks in game 1.
And here at the start, Atlanta with 6 offensive rebounds. That's why they've been able to get off 11 shots, but they've hit only 1. Yes, the Bulls controlled the tempo, the boards, and the game on Friday night here in Chicago. They won it 114 to 90. Altman gets down on the break, and Blaylock has to regroup.
Excellent job transition defense by Chicago. It's one area that the Hawks really wanted to work on, is getting some easy scores in transition. They had a chance, couldn't convert.
And a loose ball foul has been called.
Michael Jordan hurt that left hand on the backdoor alley-oop pass attempt, but may have hit it on the rim to injure the left hand.
Kevin Willis called on the foul. Here is Cartwright. Yes. Well, Bill Cartwright had a good one the other night. Phil Jackson said, well, Cartwright said that he is now healthy. He's feeling good, and he is back in not 100% condition, because he has been injury hit right throughout, but he's back to the form that the Bulls did see when Cartwright was at his best last year.
Let's go back for a second. Jordan on the backdoor alley-oop pass. He goes up, elevates, and after it, he hits that hand, perhaps on the backboard as he misses the attempt to catch the ball. The follow-through may have hit the glass.
Scottie Pippen continues to struggle. He had that bad shooting game last Sunday. It will be Atlanta ball in the season finale against the Knicks, and did not shoot well. 4 of 15 the other night against Atlanta. 2 of 16 last Sunday against the Knicks. That whip pass broke by Grant. Here comes Pippen, setting up Jordan. Contact, got a piece of it. So the Bulls maintain possession. 4 minutes have gone by in this first quarter. Chicago 8. And Atlanta 2.
You were mentioning Bill Cartwright a few moments ago. Bill Cartwright played only 15 minutes in game 1, but he was prepared and he's ready to go 30-32 if he has to. And he shot 6 for 8 from the floor in those 15 minutes.
Dominique Wilkins trying to slice through, and a foul call. Joe Crawford making the call. Joe working along with Bennett Salvatore and Greg Willard. Michael Jordan called for his first, and Dominique Wilkins to the line. Dominique averaged 29.9 during the regular season. Finished as the runner-up to Michael Jordan. He's made it back from the fractured finger on his right hand, suffered earlier this season. Last year missed the last 38 games, tearing his right Achilles tendon. And the way Dominique has made it back has surprised a lot of people around the NBA. Came back very strong.
Dominique is the first to admit that it's the first time in an off-season he's actually worked hard on his body, worked on his strength, get himself into shape to come back to camp as Jordan tries for the three immediately and misses. But again, those offensive rebounds by the Chicago Bulls. Game 1, 27 offensive rebounds for the Bulls. But to go back to Dominique, he had to put the time in the offseason to try and rehab that Achilles tendon. He came to training camp for the first time in excellent shape, and it's paid off.
Mookie Blaylock called for the foul, putting Scottie Pippen on the line.
You know, a number of those players who were invited to the All-Star games during the summer, like the Magic Classic out in Los Angeles, they play 5 or 6 of those. The score winds up 198 to 197, and sometimes they try and justify the fact that they're in pretty good shape, when in fact they're suck and win the whole night when they're playing those games. They really don't change ends very much. They just take turns scoring. So Meek realized that he had to do it to try and make the comeback. He put the time and effort in. It's been obviously worthwhile.
Are you saying in your coaching days with the Atlanta Hawks, Wilkins forced it but got the roll? And the Bulls now lead 10-6. Dominique would claim that he'd be in good shape because in these charity games he'd hit 40, 50 points. Is that the idea?
Nick had a lot of answers when we would discuss the offseason. Had a lot of answers for the questions that Coach Hickson would bring up, but he's not the only player that can do that.
Good recovery by Grant on the air ball. Chicago 12 and Atlanta 6. The Hawks went 43-39 in the regular season, 4th in the Central. They finished 14 games behind Chicago, 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. And again, it's Dominique showing the entire repertoire here at the start. He has 6 points, and the Bulls now lead by the score of 12-8. Hawks finished by winning 3 of the last 4 after losing 3 in a row. They were up and down right throughout. Very inconsistent ball play. Nice feed. The block by Blaylock, no stopping Cartwright. And that pass intended for Willis got away. It'll be Chicago ball when we come back. First, a timeout is called with 6:13 remaining in the first. Chicago halfway through the first quarter. The Bulls lead the Hawks by 4. The stunner in Phoenix. The Lakers make it 2-0 in the series over the team with the best record in the NBA. Lakers 86 and Phoenix 81. The game seen previously here on NBC, and then our triple header got underway as the Knicks defeated Indiana. They came from behind to win 101-91. John Starks led the way with 29 points, 11 assists. Rick Smith at 29 for Indiana. Michael Jordan with his first field goal. The Knicks and the Pacers play game 3 at Market Square in Indianapolis on Tuesday, and the Lakers and Suns in game 3 at the Forum in Los Angeles on Tuesday night. Lottie Divac with 19. Byron Scott had 17 in that surprising Laker victory. Stacey Augmon with his first field goal. The Bulls with a 4-point lead. Coming up at halftime with Bob and Quinn, highlights and interviews involving the Lakers and the Suns. Here's Scottie Pippen, and that is his second bucket. Bulls 16, the Hawks 10.
I'll go back to a statement we made earlier in the season. And I know Sam Perkins has been traded since that time, but if Magic Johnson would have still been playing, in my mind, they went to training camp playing for an NBA championship, that Laker team. I'm sure that was the mindset of the entire team, than to lose a Magic, then subsequently make decisions to trade Perkins, bring some new young guys in. The perhaps it took away from what some of their early goals were. But the veteran guys on the Lakers are obviously making a statement in what they feel could be their last time around in a Laker uniform.
And those short series, the 5-game series, are so dangerous, in particular for the teams that are favored.
That win by the Lakers makes 6 victories on the road in this first round for 5 visiting teams.
There have been a host of surprises in this opening round of the playoffs. The Bulls lead by 5. Grant pressured by Willis. Good ball movement, and Jordan converts his second field goal. Chicago with an 18-11 lead. Atlanta got off to the slow start. They certainly had their shot opportunities. They missed their first 10 field goal attempts. Dominique Wilkins. Oh, a good hustle by Dominique, keeping it alive. And a nice pass to finish it off. Stacey Augmon cuts it to a 5-point Chicago lead.
A point of emphasis, Bobby Weiss, to his team was you've got to hustle and scrap for extra shots. Chicago had 26 more shot attempts in game 1.
Beautiful extension by Pippen to keep it away from Koncak, although Koncak is not a shot blocker. Bulls by 7. Dominique Wilkins was fouled. He was blocked by Grant.
Dominique Wilkins is playing like a man possessed. If he's not making his first shot, he's willing to pay the price, chase it down, just give his team a chance to get another shot opportunity by a little give and go to his teammate, Stacey Augmon, for the score.
So Wilkins back to the line. It was back on December the 8th against the Chicago Bulls that Wilkins hit 23 for 23 at the foul line, an NBA record for free throw accuracy.
For young players out there, Dominique Wilkins came into the NBA and was a 68% free throw shooter. And then subsequently, for 6-7 straight years, he has been 80+ from the foul line. He worked at it just as he did his perimeter game. He has become a much better perimeter shooter and therefore has added more points to his average.
Chicago by 5, just under 4 minutes to go in this opening quarter. Cartwright. And the rebound handled by Koncak. Here comes Blaylock. Hawks 5 of their last 7 from the field. Augmon. Blaylock from downtown. He hit 3 of 3 from three-point land on Friday night. Willis from way out. Oh, Kevin Willis with the long jump shot for his second field goal. The Hawks battling back and cut it to a 3-point lead.
Well, sometimes that can be good for Atlanta. Sometimes that can be bad when Willis makes that perimeter shot because sometimes he starts thinking that he is a small forward and wants to get out there and start lofting him up rather than get down in the paint where he should go to work.
Michael Jordan. And he threw the foul. Koncak called for the personal, and Jordan will go to the line as you get another look.
How many times is he going to stick it out there with one hand and finish off in this NBA playoff series? He must kind of like it because we've seen it a number of times already in game 1 and so far in game 2.
Over the last decade in the NBA, it's certainly been the era of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. Magic and Larry were not able to win 3 straight titles, so for Michael Jordan, as we discussed with him earlier, winning 3 in a row does have great meaning.
That's the biggest driving force that I have right now. Sometimes when you get to a level where you lose certain driving forces, I think Larry and Magic was driving forces for myself. And you have to come up with other different mechanisms to try to drive you even more. And I guess to know that they've never won 3 in a row is the driving force that I have.
Tell this man that he can't do something. It's another challenge out in front of him. It's just something else that he wants to conquer. Getting 3 in a row is the objective for Michael Jordan.
And Michael using the motivation of putting the Chicago Bulls in the role of the underdog as Blaylock is able to bury the jump shot. The Bulls lead 22-19. John Paxson has come on for the first time, and Rodney McCray has checked in. It's McCray now matched with Wilkins. Cartwright up front, along with Grant And McRae, Paxson and Jordan in the backcourt. Shot clock is down to 6. Here is Grant. Rebound handled by Blaylock. Have the Bulls invented motivation by saying that they are the underdog?
I think everything fell in place for them this season to come in with something to shoot for. The injuries that took place during the course of the year, Phil Jackson had to get together with his trainers, with the doctors. They had to be realistic as to when the players could come back and play. And talking to Phil prior to the game, he said, we set our goals for April 1st. Try to get all the players back healthy, give us 3 weeks to play together down the stretch, and we thought we could be at our peak for the playoffs. And we realized that at that time we could be out of the race for home court advantage. But when we got there April 1st, we still had a chance to be the best in the East, and the players were willing to accept the challenge and play hard down the stretch trying to get it.
Good defensive play by Augman. He blocked the view of the basket by Jordan, but Jordan comes up with the steal. Michael Jordan leads the NBA in that department, followed by the man who's guarding him now, Mookie Blaylock. Here is Grant, rebounded by Willis. 3-point Chicago lead. Minute and a half to go in the first quarter. And here's Blaylock. Mookie continues to fire from outside. He's now 1 for 6. Grant out of pull-up. Yes. Horace Grant going glass. He has 6. The Bulls lead 24-19.
What's interesting, Mookie Blaylock is probably more effective shooting from behind the three-point line than he is in that in-between range. And shooting the basketball, a problem for Atlanta against the Chicago Bulls defense, just as it was early in game number 1.
Foul called on Grant. Here's a look at that steal by Jordan.
Number 1 in the NBA, and he's so good playing on the ball, but then he's so good playing off it as well, anticipating where passes are going. You have the 2 best in the NBA on the floor this afternoon. Michael Jordan 1, Mookie Blaylock number 2.
Substitution now. Steve Henson, second-year man from Kansas State, has checked in for the first time. Here's contact. Rebounded by Willis, showing the lively body. Willis again. Yes, and it counts. A third effort by Kevin Willis. His 6th rebound, and he will go to the line.
Kevin Willis, number 5 in the NBA, just under 13 rebounds per game, and they missed him sorely in game number 1 because he's a warrior in there. He'll go up in traffic. He plays strong. He plays tough. Jordan gets a piece from behind, but Kevin stays after it and is rewarded with the scoring.
Great point play by Willis. The Bulls now by 2. That foul called on Scott Williams, who was a question mark for today because of ankle and knee injuries. In fact, helped off the court late in the game the other night after badly bruising his right leg. McRae for Cartwright, and they have to reset. Here's Jordan, off balance. Nice play by Willis. Rebound number 7, 5 off the offensive boards.
Speaking with Michael Jordan prior to the game, he said, we want to try to jump on Atlanta early and discourage the road team from thinking that they're hanging around. Road teams gain confidence if they stay in the game at the end of the first quarter. If you're Atlanta right now, you feel you're in real good shape.
And the Hawks playing for a final shot. Here it is by Wayne Farrell. Final seconds, Scott Williams. Williams going glass and nearly got the carom. That's the end of 1 here in Chicago. Kevin Willis with a strong start. 7 points, 7 rebounds. The Bulls 24 and the Hawks 22. Back in Chicago, Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. Atlanta got off to the slow start, missed their first 10 shots from the field, but able to turn it around to move within 2 as we head to the second quarter.
The Hawks did it by paying attention to what their problems were in game number 1. Chicago had 20 more shots till after the first quarter. Right now, Atlanta has 3 more shots, 26-23, and the reason they got them, in the entire game 1, they had 8 offensive rebounds. So far, in the first quarter, 10 offensive rebounds. They're getting more shot opportunities, so they're not shooting well, 31%, but they're getting more chances.
Pippen tried to dish it off. Henson on the intercept. Adam Keefe, the rookie from Stanford, with the ball. He came on for Willis. Henson for three. Steve Henson, originally a second-round draft pick of Milwaukee back in 1990. Earlier this year, played in the CBA. Atlanta signed him in late December. He is a three-point threat, and the Hawks have taken the lead for the first time. Will Perdue has checked in, coming on for Bill Cartwright. Concat switching off to Pippen. Shot clock is down to 3. Pippen has to fire it. Williams on the recovery. It's waved off. 24-second violation.
Going back to the three-point shot from Henson, two guys who have made big three-pointers the entire season and have helped Atlanta get their record to over 500. One Henson, the other Mookie Blaylock. You must pay special attention to that when they have the ball beyond the three-point line. Mookie's better from behind the three-point line than he is in close.
And Atlanta set a team record in three-point shooting, led by Dominique Wilkins and Mookie Blaylock. Maxson has not been able to find his shot. They played him very well. Here's Perdue setting up Pippen. The Bulls way off, not getting good shots. They trail by 1, 25-24. Wilkins, Concac, and Keefe up front. Henson and Farrell in the backdoor.
Wilkins knows that he can take Paxson down low, so what Chicago does immediately is bring over Scott Williams, try and get the ball out of his hand.
Paxson called for the foul is first. Let's go to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, having been around the Chicago Bulls team a lot in the last couple of years, I noticed something a little bit different in the locker room before the game. They were still confident, but a little bit cautious, and I asked Scottie Pippen about it. He said in terms of intensity, they haven't been consistent with that. They play with a lot of intensity one game, not the next. So what they're trying to do is sustain that intensity from here on out. Marv?
All right, Ahmad. Chicago Bulls are down by 1 as Pippen drives the lane and draws the foul. So Scottie Pippen, now by Dominique Wilkins, his first, and he'll shoot 2.
I like what Pippen did here. Tried to get himself going. He knows his perimeter shot. He's struggling with it, so he takes it to the basket, initiates the contact by dropping that right shoulder into Dominique. Now perhaps he can go to the free throw line, make a couple foul shots, and get himself going.
During the regular season, Bulls and Hawks split 4 games. Atlanta won the first 2, including here in Chicago back in November. Chicago won the last 2, and their very last meeting, the Bulls came back from a 17-point deficit to pull out the victory. Keefe with the rebound. Williams tried to draw the foul. And Henson is calling out a play, checking with Coach Bob Weiss. Game is tied at 25, or early second quarter. Wilkins guarded by Pippen. Shot clock at 4. Wilkins for 3. And Perdue takes it. Here's Pippen. Foul by Henson.
Good foul by Henson that time. He hustled, got himself back in front of Pippen, so it was no clear path to the basket, and took the foul.
Timeout taken. We'll be back in a moment. Dominique Wilkins, 2 of 8 here at the start. Over the years, the major criticism involving Dominique has been his shot selection, a subject that we discussed with him earlier.
I think you mature as you go further in your career. You learn to play the game more with your head instead of just with your talent, and that's what's happened over the years, especially this year, because I've had an injury that made me mature as a player a lot more. I think a lot faster, and that's the reason why I had the season I've had this year.
In defense of Dominique, just a couple things as Scottie Pippen runs the back door. Nice interior pass to Scott Williams for the score. In Dominique's defense, he's a very emotional player. He gets himself up for the game, so he reacts instinctively at times where he wants to win the game by himself. Early in his career, he had a lot of players as they were trying to rebuild the franchise in Atlanta who didn't want to take the shot when the 24-second clock was running down, so they would throw it to Wilkins with 4 or 5 on the clock, and then he had to invent and create, as a result, a lot of poor shots or not high percentage shots.
Pippen called for that foul, and Farrell will go to the line.
Farrell has come off the bench this year for Atlanta, as he did last year in replacing Dominique Wilkins as a starter, and done a superb job Dwayne Farrell is a player that a lot of teams would like to have as a part of their 12-man roster. He has really worked on his perimeter game, become a much improved outside shooter.
He's in his 5th NBA season out of Georgia Tech. Getting back to the subject of Wilkins, the feeling has been that his shot selection this year has improved. He mentioned that he has matured, but there are still times where Dominique will take shots that I think can get the coaches crazy.
Scorers are going to take shots. That's what you have them on your roster for, to put those points on the board. I'm sure there's some shots that Michael takes at times that a few of the teammates or people in the stands would question.
Tucker working hard to get it off. He just did. Henson played him well.
Good solid job by Dwayne Farrell on the block out.
Henson for 3 again. Steve Henson with his 2nd from downtown. The Hawks lead 30-27.
I'm sure the Bulls scouting report has reminded the players that he is a 46% three-point shooter.
Paxson is able to hit off the dribble, which you rarely see. He was blocked, fouled by Henson.
You think of Paxson in terms of an old player that I had on the Atlanta Hawks who now coaches in Indiana, Randy Whitman, a guy who you don't see often going to the basket and then going to the foul line. As a result, you think of him more as spot-up jump shooters.
John Paxson has missed 22 games during the regular season, back from surgery on his left knee. Says he still has pain at times. His condition is game to game. And the matchup is Paxson against Henson. Here's Farrell posting up, then popping it out. Willis. And back comes Trent Tucker. Hawks lead by 1. 4 minutes gone by, 2nd quarter. Tucker for 3. Yes.
Just for a split second, Dwayne Farrell forgot who he was guarding. He backed up a step to help on the pass into the post. He left a terrific three-point shooter wide open to get his feet set.
Dominique Wilkins forcing the issue. Adam Keefe was blocked. And back comes Paxson as a 3-on-1. Pippen over Henson. And the Bulls are flying. They lead by 4. With the lead, picked off by Pippen. Another Chicago fast break. Paxson for 3. Yes! A 10-hole run by Chicago, and the Hawks want to talk it over.
In game 1, the Bulls ended the first quarter with an 11-0 run. Second half, 11-0 run. Again, 10-0 right now for Chicago. Pippen with the jam. Then he hustles back to the defensive end, makes it happen again by picking up the interception. Then, as you know, the leading assist man for this team finds his open jump shooter, who happens to be John Paxson, and they did it all with their main guy on the bench, but he just loves it.
Yes, a 10-0 run by the Bulls over the last minute, 26, and they lead by 7. Rookie Blaylock is back on the floor. He and Farrell at the guards. Keefe up front with Wilkins and Willis. Willis off the head fake draws the foul as Scott Williams and Horace Grant converged on him. Foul on Grant. That is his 3rd.
Kevin Willis with the basketball down low, but unusual. Instead of a trap coming this way, the Bulls will trap along the baseline, force him to turn that way. It's something that they used 2 years ago in the championship series, forcing people to the baseline, trapping from behind them. Kevin Willis is best when he's allowed to come to his left shoulder into the lane. Chicago is taking that away by forcing him to turn to the right shoulder.
Michael Jordan. And here's Michael Jordan back. Trent Tucker sits down after hitting that 3 a moment ago, and Stacey King replaces Horace Grant, who had some parting words for Bennett Salvatore. Grant called for his 3rd foul. Stacey King and Mookie Blaylock were teammates at the University of Oklahoma. Now Pippen guarded by August. Rodman. Just under 7 minutes to go in this first half. Pippen going glass. And Scottie Pippen is now 5 of 9. He has 13 points. Bulls lead by 7.
It's interesting to see how Scottie has built his game up here. Go to the basket, draw a foul, get 2 free throws. Dunk in transition. Now a nice turnaround jump shot off the glass little by little.
And Kevin Willis with a pretty turnaround. Willis with 11 points, 7 rebounds. Bulls 39, the Hawks 34. King backing in on Keith. Stacey King. Bulls lead by 7.
Speaking with Phil Jackson, we asked him, when do you fear the Hawks the most? He said when the W and W combination of Wilkins and Willis get it going at the same time, then they're a terrific team.
Strong move by the rookie from Stanford, Adam Keefe. Adam Keefe, #1 draft pick. Hawks took some heat for passing on Harold Miner in favor of Keefe, who averaged 25 points, 12 rebounds as a senior and led the Pac-10 in rebounding. Here's Pippen from deep. Blaylock gets to it. And Mookie looks to push it down. Wilkins. Here is Willis. Willis has become an outside shooter. Jordan knocked it away. Good play. It will be Atlanta ball with 5:33 to go in this first half.
There's one of those instances where I'm sure Bobby Weiss would have preferred Kevin inside. Instead, Meek goes down inside, and as he has done so often, Michael Jordan with the block from behind the head.
Now Will Perdue replacing Scott Williams. Willis now guarded by King. Bad shot by Willis, but it's tipped home. John Konkak with his first field goal. The Bulls by 3. Jordan to the left hand and then the scoop. Back comes Blaylock. Rebounded again by Willis. Blaylock passed on the 3. Nice setup. Yes, and it counts. What a pass from Blaylock for Wilkins. And Dominique will go to the line.
A moment ago, who are you going to give credit to on this one? Will Perdue or John Konkak? Can't give him a point apiece, so the 2 will go to John Konkak. Phil Jackson wants to know, is anybody going to block out and just give him 1 shot? Too many offensive rebounds for Atlanta.
Will Perdue caught on that foul. The Bulls take a timeout with 4:49 left. First half.
You're coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report. We'll bring you a full report of that shocker in Phoenix with the Lakers making it 2 straight over the team which finished with the best record in the league, the Phoenix Suns. We'll hear from both coaches, Randy Fund of the Lakers, Paul Westphal of the Phoenix Suns, as well as from Charles Barkley. For those of you who have just checked in, the Lakers beat the Suns 86-81, and they now lead the series 2-0. Game 3 is Tuesday night at the Forum. That's coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report after an extended break for your local news. Back now to Chicago as we rejoin Marv and Mike.
Thank you, Bob. And Mike, you look back in the history of best-of-5 playoff series, only 3 times have teams been able to come back from a 2-0 deficit. What a play by Blaylock, knocking it away from Armstrong.
The hustle by Mookie Blaylock coming back in transition defense, something that Atlanta did not do very well when the Bulls went on that 10-0 run. That time Mookie got back, got a piece.
Fort Wayne did it against St. Louis, 1956. Golden State against Utah in 87 as Jordan is fouled. He was walloped, sandwiched between 2 Atlanta Hawks, and a foul called on John Konkak. Knicks did it against Boston in the 1990 Eastern Conference first round of the best-of-5, coming back from a 2-0 deficit.
That's a tough assignment for Dominique to be isolated against Michael Jordan. Wilkins not sure which way he was supposed to send him to get his help. He sent him baseline. They closed too late.
It has been a quiet first half for Michael Jordan. That was only a 7th point. Here's Will Perdue back, replacing Stacey King. Jordan has hit 3 out of 8 and 1 of 2 from the foul line.
If you're looking for one significant point that Atlanta has changed around from game 1, 27-8 advantage offensive rebounds for Chicago in game 1. Here in game 2, Atlanta with a 14-4 advantage off the offensive board. So Bobby Weiss got his message across.
And the Bulls go to pressure. Foul is called on Pippen. That's 2 on Scottie Pippen.
The Bulls just kind of saving this for the right moment, trying now suddenly to trap as the Hawks come over the half-court line. The foul on the arm.
Dominique Wilkins 4 for 5 from the line. Bulls 43 and the Hawks 41. 11 points for Dominique. He shot only 3 of 12 from the field. It is a 1-point Chicago lead. The Bulls have led by as many as 7. They went on a 10-0 run thanks to the jump shooting of Trent Tucker and John Paxson. Jordan off balance. He has 10. Bulls by 3.
Because of the margin of victory in game 1, you tend to forget that the Hawks beat this team twice during the regular season, and it very easily could have been a 3-1 advantage because Kevin Willis knocks a few people out of the way in taking what again could be turned a poor shot. Atlanta was up in the last game between these two teams by 17 going into the 4th quarter and lost when Scottie Pippen made a 3-pointer with 10 seconds remaining for an 88-87 win. They have beaten the Bulls in this building.
Michael Jordan drilling it. So Jordan with 12, Bulls 47, and the Hawks 42. 3.5 remaining in the first half. It's game 2 of the best of 5. Chicago, oh, what a steal. Armstrong got a piece of it. The interception by Williams. Leads the 3-on-1 and takes it the distance.
Tremendous plus to have a big man that can make a decision like that, whether to make a pass or keep it in his hands. And Mookie Blaylock was juking him up and back, trying to make him have some hesitation. Good read.
Dominique rejected. Chicago by 7. Just under 3 minutes remaining. First half. Pippen off the dribble, beats contact. Purdue again. 20-second timeout requested by Atlanta.
They may not statistically have been number 1 in the NBA with their defense, the Chicago Bulls, but it's one of the most feared things when you come up against this team because they have the ability to make things happen from the defensive end of the floor. The deflections, the steals, and then they fill the lane so well. Here, when you have your power forward / center able to take it the length of the floor and convert, what an advantage.
8-0 run by Chicago. It's their biggest lead, a margin of 9. Michael Jordan with 12 points. He's hit 5 out of 10. Hit that long jump shot a moment ago. Meanwhile, Dominique Wilkins only 3 of 14. And you have to question the shot selection of both Wilkins and Willis. You said it right at the start, and you see it so often when a guy is not noted for the outside touch, hits early sometimes, that can be a bad thing because you get the confidence to take that kind of shot, and he puts his club right out of it. That happened with Kevin Willis.
And when Will Perdue just made that follow-up shot for the Bulls, you could see Kevin Willis out of frustration, motion to his teammates, come and help me on the glass. Another steal by the Bulls.
Michael Jordan slicing in. And it's put home. Won't count. Will not count. It is offensive interference.
That ball was going in on its own. It didn't need any help from Will Perdue, but you can't fault him for the effort. You know that Jordan's going to get the roll in the end. It looks like it might come out. No, it's on its way back in when Scottie Williams follows up with the 2 hands. Is it in? Is it out? It's rolling back in. Scottie tries to help it. You can't do that when it's in the cylinder.
Chicago has come up with 5 steals. Wilkins with the head fake. Wilkins getting inside. Dominique Wilkins. Just checked you out here. Did you notice that?
He works hard at the offensive end of the floor to help his team put points on the board. At times it may look like he's out of control, but scorers find a way to get those shots up. He gets by 1, he gets by 2, he comes to number 3 and 4, and still Dominique able to come up with a score.
Bulls lead 51-44. Pippen off the double team. Purdue for Armstrong. And we get the call away from the ball. 3-second violation. Will Purdue in the lane. Game 1 on Friday night. Won easily by Chicago, 114-90. They did off the board, 62-28. Michael Jordan led the way at 35 points, 18 in the first quarter. Wilkins and Willis were in foul trouble. Chicago has done it here with a couple of good runs. Back comes Wilkins. Ortman ahead of the field. Stacey Ortman cuts it to a 5-point Chicago lead.
Classic example of the defensive player on a perimeter jump shooter taking off as soon as the shot goes up, and then there is no one back to cover the backcourt for the team that was on offense. Purdue.
Well, trying to get tricky off the dribble, and is fortunate it was knocked out of bounds by the Hawks. So the Bulls have 5 on the shot clock, 40 seconds to go, first half. On the inbounds, Jordan trying to tip it. Laylock puts the speed on. Here's Willis. And a loose ball foul called on Ortman. Push out by Stacey. That's his first foul.
Number 2, Stacey
Hawks and the Bulls are over the limit. So B.J. Armstrong will go to the line. Bobby Weiss, a man who spent much time here at Chicago Stadium. Played 12 years in the NBA, had his best years here in Chicago. Originally a third-round draft pick of Philadelphia back in 1965. Bobby Weiss, in his third year as coach of the Hawks, took over from that enormous television personality, Mike Fratello. The one-time coach of San Antonio. A strange feeling as you watch this club. Just several guys remain from your teams, but is it funny for you?
Dominique Wilkins, Kevin Willis, John Concack, Dwayne Farrell, all part of my last year in Atlanta. And there's been speculation about Bob Weiss's contract. They have not extended it or renewed or put any extra additional years on it. And newspapers in Atlanta have been wondering why it has not been done. I think he has done a very good job with this basketball team. I think in evaluating the talent, Bobby Weiss getting them to be above 500 basketball team, and the way they played in particular down the stretch run, he should be awarded a new contract.
A vote of confidence from the Czar to his successor. You didn't answer my question. Is it a strange feeling watching this club?
No, a strange feeling is sitting here next to you. That's a strange feeling.
Strange is a kind word in that vein for you. 10 seconds left. In the second quarter, illegal defense for the second time against the Bulls. So Wilkins able to hit the technical. And the Bulls now lead 53-47. Atlanta ball. Final seconds of the half. Play lock for Willis. Willis on the follow. It counts and the foul.
It was a good call because on the second effort, Will Purdue did get him on his wrist as he followed up on the first miss with the offensive rebound. Kevin Willis gets the score. And this is where you would like Kevin Willis to operate almost all the time. Forget the outside jumpers, Kevin. Stay in there, battle them inside. You're one of the best at doing that, getting offensive rebounds.
Willis will go to the line with 3 and 2/10 seconds remaining of the half. 10 rebounds, 8 off the offensive glass, along with 13 points. for Kevin Willis. Dominique Wilkins, the high man for the Hawks, although he has not shot well. He has 15 points. Purdue, time running down. Jordan from center court. Yes! Yes!
Just what you don't want to have happen. Send this crowd into a frenzy and the Bulls into the locker room with a half-court shot by Michael Jordan.
And that will go down as one of the most spectacular shots of the season. Michael Jordan, time running down just across the midcourt line. And he banks it off glass cleanly through. Put Michael down for 3 points. Put the Bulls down for 56. And at halftime, a 56-49 lead. That, incidentally, will not be worth $1 million for Michael. So at halftime, it's the Bulls 56 and the Hawks 49. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, Bob Costas, Quinn Buckner, Bill Walton of all the scores and highlights, plus an update on the NBA playoff picture right after this message.
Bob Costas in New York. It's halftime in Chicago. The Bulls, courtesy of Jordan's last basket, leading the Hawks 56-49. Coming up, an extended break for your local news, and then we'll bring you highlights and reaction from the Lakers' win over Phoenix. We'll get to that after these messages from your local station. Chicago Stadium, Bulls lead the Hawks by 7. It would have been 4, but for this looks like something out of those Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, McDonald's commercials where they're hitting from the rafters, the rooftops, over bridges and waterways. Yeah, Michael would say to Larry, out of the backcourt, across the center line, a couple of dribbles up in the air, over the defender, against the glass, nothing but net. And that's what it was, giving him 15 for the half. Quickly to the scoreboard, the Knicks beat the Indiana Pacers 101-91. They take a 2-0 lead in that best of 5. John Starks led the Knicks with 29, and Patrick Ewing had 25. Game 3 is Tuesday night in Indiana. The shocker of this NBA season took place in Phoenix this weekend, where the Lakers beat the Suns again. Let's get right to the highlights. Charles Barkley will welcome Kevin Johnson back to the Phoenix lineup. KJ had 14 points and 16 assists. First quarter scramble for a loose ball, and Barkley will give it to Vlade Divac instead of going around him. A flagrant foul called on Barkley, who somehow found a reason to protest. Dan Marley feeding Richard Dumas here, and Dumas slams it down for 2 of his 18. Barkley and Tom Chambers also had 18. Suns led by as many as 10 in the third, but in the fourth, the Lakers came back with the shot clock winding down. James Worthy hit a 3 that tied it at 80. With under a minute left, the Lakers were up by 2, but what a move by Divac. Winds up being a 3-point play. And the Lakers wind up winning the ball game 86-81 for Phoenix, their lowest point total in any game since December of 1986. After the game, Hannah Storm got reaction from both locker rooms, starting with Randy Fund on the topic of these 2 wins possibly saving his job.
This is a crazy business, and I don't get, I've said all along, I've tried to make that a non-issue. The issue right now is we've got guys playing good basketball. Vlade, Eldon, AC, our veterans, people talked about, sticking with our veterans all year. This is why you stick with guys who have rings on their fingers.
I think we played best defense all this season. I never see we played that hard how we play tonight. And now we are a big advantage. I couldn't believe that before a series that somebody asked me we're gonna beat Phoenix twice. I said no way.
I picked a very bad time to have probably my worst game of the year. But I played as hard as I could. I just didn't play well. The team played hard. We just did not play well enough to win the game. Have to take the good with the bad. Today was just a bad day for me and a bad day for the team.
We're down 0-2, and I know the next question is, are you guys dead? No, we're going to win the series. We're going to win one Tuesday, and the next game's Thursday. We'll win there. Then we'll come back and we'll win the series on Sunday. And everybody will say what a great series it was.
A bold statement. No team has ever lost the first 2 games at home in an opening round series and then come back to win.
I'm with Westfall there. I don't think this is over at all. Phoenix can certainly come back and play as well as the Lakers are playing, and I've never seen Vlade play better. I think it's more the failures of the Phoenix Suns, their failure to fast break, their failure to tempo through pressure defense, trapping defense to get out and running and get shooting from the perimeter?
Well, I think it's a function of what the Lakers are doing. I think you got to give them more credit. I don't think it's over, but what the Lakers have been able to do is keep the tempo down. That's playoff basketball. This is a fairly new team in terms of playoff experience for the Suns. They've got to learn in the playoffs, it is a slow-down game.
Just quickly here, to put this in perspective, if it happens, if the Lakers pull off this upset, it would be the biggest upset in playoff history, any round of the playoffs, in terms of the disparity between the regular season records of the teams. The Suns beat the Lakers all 5 times during the regular season by an average of 14 points. They were 14-point favorites in each of these first 2 games. And look at this, the Lakers come into Phoenix and win the first 2 games. We'll return things to Chicago for the second half. The Bulls leading the Hawks by 7, and we'll get to Marv and Mike at Chicago Stadium after these messages.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Welcome back to Chicago Stadium. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad. Third quarter getting underway. Chicago Bulls 56 and the Atlanta Hawks 49. Bulls won game 1 here on Friday, 114-90, trying to make it a 2-0 lead in the best of 5. And the Hawks hoping to tie the series at 1 for the return back to Atlanta. Here's Armstrong for 3. And back comes Mookie Blaylock. Blaylock saw the opening. Jordan reached in and knocked it away. Another steal for Michael Jordan. Here's Armstrong. Pippen. So Scottie Pippen having a good day. He has 14 points, bouncing back from the poor shooting performance in game 1.
And the league's leader in steals, Michael Jordan, that time does it from behind with the flick.
Stacey Augmon has 9 points. The Bulls by 7. Michael Jordan, 3 steals, 4 blocks, along with his 15 points. Cartwright had it knocked away by Concact. Augmon with Jordan back. Augmon all the way. He was expecting contact. He actually did get contact, but early in the move. Pippen, yes.
It looked quite obvious to me that Michael Jordan put 2 hands up and actually pushed Stacey Augmon. Now, maybe my angle made my eyes go bad suddenly, but that's the way it looked to me. And Augmon turned to the officials as if to say, were you watching that?
And Augmon now does get the call. Foul by Jordan. That is his second. Well, in the first half, Atlanta only 33% from the field, 17 of 51. Chicago at 49%. Jordan 6 for 14, including that 3-pointer from center court at the end of the first half. Our halftime statistics. Wilkins for 3 from way out. Concact on the rebound. Willis. And Willis with 15 points. He and Dominique Wilkins, the high man for Atlanta.
Very unusual to see Kevin Willis with 15 shot attempts in the first half of a basketball game. Same number as Dominique Wilkins.
And the foul is called. It's on Willis, his second. Let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, I spoke with Bob Weiss after the halftime, and he said that he kept trying to preach to his team to maintain their composure during the Bulls' runs and keep working on the boards where they've got that advantage, and also to be more patient with their offensive game. Marv?
Well, not patient right there as Armstrong picked it off. A couple of strong runs by Chicago. Armstrong for 3. B.J. Armstrong hits from downtown. He shot 45% from three-point land to lead the NBA. Chris Mullin of Golden State for top honors. Blaylock, that's 2-point range. Wilkins. Dominique on the putback. So the Bulls lead 63 to 55. The runs that Ahmad made reference to by Chicago. They had an 8-0 run. They had a 10-0 run in the second quarter to give them the lead. Grant for Cartwright. Pretty setup from Horace Grant to Bill Cartwright.
It's unusual when you see your big men, your 4 men, power forwards, and the centers, the 5 men, with the ability to do all that interior passing, looking for one another, something that Chicago stresses in its offense.
Biggest lead of the game for Chicago. Blaylock, tough luck with that 3-point attempt. And Mookie Blaylock is now 1 for 7 from the field. 3.5 in, third quarter. Jordan backing Blaylock. Jordan stripped. Good play by Blaylock. Grant knocks it away. Cartwright. Yes. The Chicago defense continues to do it. Horace Grant with the steal, leading to the basket by Cartwright. And Atlanta calls for time. At Chicago Stadium, as the Bulls now go to the trap, they have extended to their biggest lead of the game, a margin of 12. 4 minutes gone by in the third quarter. Weiss has been upset about the lack of patience with Atlanta's shooting. Koncak on the rebound, and he's hit from behind. Hit by Jordan. That is his third. Ahmad Rashad hanging around the Atlanta bench, just passing on the word that Bobby Weiss, during the course of that last timeout, complained about the lack of patience on the part of his club. Nice tie being worn by Bobby, going with the circular theme. I asked him before the game, is there symbolism involved? And he said, no, we're circling the wagons.
I like another thing that Bobby said prior to the game. 2 adjustments, very minor ones. He wanted to extend his defense a little bit more in game 2. The other thing, which I thought was really unique, he said, I think I over-prepared him. We gave him too much about what Chicago does because they run so much stuff. I may have short-circuited them. They were thinking more than playing in game 1. I wanted more to go out and play on instinct and just make things happen with their emotion in game 2. So we didn't give him a whole lot in yesterday's practice.
Bulls by 11. Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt. Cartwright, Pippen, and Grant on the front line. Cartwright with the fake, the spin, and the bucket. And Bill Cartwright continues his strong play. He did have a good one in game 1. He is 4 of 6 from the field for 8 points here today.
And another turnover. That one an unforced one. Mookie Blaylock dribbling it off his ankle. And let's give credit to B.J. Armstrong as he hits the jumper for the job he's done on Mookie Blaylock, because in the first half, Mookie just 1 for 6, 2 points with 5 turnovers at halftime. That was one of the keys for Atlanta to get Mookie Blaylock involved.
Bulls now lead 71-56. Stacey Augmon working hard for that drive. 11 points for Augmon, 71-58, Chicago. Grant at the high post. Pippen played by Koncak. Pippen for Armstrong. Bulls swing it very well. Grant. And knocked out of bounds by Koncak.
Stacey Augmon, a left-handed player, likes to get to the middle of the lane. That time he initiates the contact, keeps his concentration, takes a little punishment, but is rewarded with 2 points. Now, whether or not he feels that only getting 2 is enough for that punishment, he probably has something to say about it.
Michael Jordan has 17. Bulls 73, the Hawks 58.
If you are wondering why there are so many second shot attempts by both these teams, you have the best in the league, Chicago at offensive rebounding, and Atlanta number 4 in the league. So they get a lot of second shot opportunities, and they get a lot of steals.
Pippen trying to go all the way, knocked out of bounds. Pippen thought he was fouled. Now Scottie Pippen does have the excellent extension, but no way right here. But that's Pippen on the steal, and watch the move.
Once he takes off and is airborne, he feels that it's a little bit of arm. It's not a little bit of arm. It's a lot of arm that time on Scottie Pippen.
Grant. Bulls get back. Blaylock's pass picked off. Wilkins recovered, and a foul call on the Bulls.
Personal foul, Scottie Pippen.
It's on Pippen, his third.
Hustling back, good transition defense. Wilkins trying to find the handle. Pippen, who was airborne, lands on Wilkins. That's where the foul is called. He's not real happy. He feels that, no harm, just let it go.
Chicago with 10 steals. Strong move by Stacey Augmon. 10 steals for the Bulls, 3 apiece for Jordan and Armstrong. Bulls lead by 13, 5.5 remaining in the third.
This is what they've been trying to get to, is Jordan against Blaylock, but it looks right now as if Michael's picking and choosing his spots, maybe catching a breath right now, going to other people on offense for Chicago.
John Koncak called for his third. Scottie Pippen will go to the foul line. He is 2 of 2 from the line. Pippen coming back strong, 16 points, 7 of 11 from the floor. It is the philosophy of Bob Weiss. We were talking about this with him earlier, and I would think most coaches in facing the Chicago Bulls is that they feel that Michael Jordan is going to score his points, but if you are going to have success against this club, you have to keep Scottie Pippen in check. And if you look back over the season when he has not done well, the Bulls have not won.
Well, Bobby Weiss's exact statement was, we don't want to pay so much attention to Michael Jordan, run around and double team him too early, that we turn other players into 20-point scorers that shouldn't be getting those numbers out there.
Bulls lead by 15. Wilkins, yes. Dominique has 19 points. Bulls 75, the Hawks 62. Koncak knocked it aside.
This is right about the time that Chicago puts together one of those quick 8-zip, 10-0 bursts and puts a game away as they were on their way to their previous 2 championships.
The steal by the Hawks and a foul call on Armstrong. His first. Chicago with its 4th team foul. For those of you who may just be catching up on the scores earlier today, in the first of our NBA-NBC triple header at Madison Square Garden in New York, the Knicks defeated Indiana. They came from behind to win it 101-91, led by John Starks, who had 29 points, 11 assists. Rick Smits with 29 points. Game 3 at Indianapolis on Tuesday night. The Knicks now up 2-0 in that series. And you saw the stunner as the Lakers did it again to the Phoenix Suns. 86-81 as they win 2 out of 2 in Phoenix, led by Devonts with 19 and Scott had 17. Entering the playoffs, no number 8 seed had ever won a game on the home court of the number 1 seed. Now the Lakers incredibly have done it twice. Armstrong for 3. So BJ with his second from downtown. The Bulls lead by 16.
Another second shot opportunity, another score for Chicago when you give them another chance.
Suns and Lakers meet in Game 3 in Los Angeles on Tuesday night.
B.J. Armstrong, the leader in the NBA, at three-point shooting, over 45%. You let him get his feet set, get a good look like that, he is going to make that shot. And Phil Jackson likes the hustle by the Bulls, giving themselves second shot opportunities. Dominique Wilkins goes to the free throw line and shoots the technical foul shot because of another illegal defense by Chicago. It was Bill Cartwright that they caught cheating below the foul line.
Cheating?
Yes.
Steve Henson is back. Henson came out of the first half and hit 2 3-pointers. Mookie Blaylock will depart. Mookie only 1 for 7. Chicago leads by 15. Henson given no room by Armstrong. Here's Wilkins again. So Dominique Wilkins hitting a couple from long range. He has shot only 7 of 21. He now has 22 points. Jordan for 3. Yes. Michael Jordan with his second from downtown. His first came from center court right at the end of the half. Chicago 81, Atlanta 65 as we approach 3 minutes left in the third.
The Bulls as a team, second in the NBA only to Cleveland. Atlanta in shooting him 7th best in the league, but Atlanta has taken the second most three-point attempts in the league this year.
Kevin Willis has 17 points. Bulls by 14. High man for Chicago, Jordan with 20. Pippen has 18. Here's Pippen. Grant able to keep it alive. Pippen. Oh, he challenged Koncak. Last touch by Koncak.
That's the one thing that the Hawks have wanted John Koncak to do is protect the rim, protect the lane. Pippen tries to send the message there, but Koncak rejects it.
When it's this hot outside, you know how hot it is inside. That's why you need Armor All, the world's leading protectant. No matter how hot it gets or how cold, Armor All helps keep your Dash looking new. We're so sure about it, we guarantee it. If your new Dash ever cracks, we'll replace it. Guaranteed. There is a fountain of youth, and we guarantee it. Armor All. Don't take chances.
What if my name wasn't in lights? What if my face wasn't on TV every other second? What if there wasn't a crowd around every corner? What if I was just a basketball player? Can you imagine it? I can.
The engineers at Mitsubishi have some remarkable ways to measure quality, to check and recheck for even the slightest flaw. Because the truest measure of a luxury performance sedan is not only what it comes with, but also what it comes without. The 1993 Diamante by Mitsubishi.
NBC proudly presents for the first time on television Academy Award winners Kathy Bates and Jessica Tandy and Mary Stuart Masterson, Fried Green Tomatoes, tonight.
Phil Jackson of the Bulls gunning for a third straight title, but it's a different setting as the Bulls start out of the playoffs this season as opposed to last year. We asked Phil, how are things different for him from a year ago?
Well, I think from the standpoint of you looking down our roster, we have 6 or 7 guys now that played over 10 seasons in the NBA, and that makes a big difference. And when you add on the extreme amount of ball games been played by this team in postseason tournaments, postseason playoffs, and extracurricular activity, there's a lot of mileage on this team. And suddenly, Michael's up there now where he's in 9th year too. So this team is moving on towards age, and this is really our last chance right now with this group to win.
And he has done an excellent job of managing this team during the course of this season, giving guys minutes, adjusting them accordingly, giving his bench playing time, at the same time keeping them on course for an opportunity to have home court advantage throughout, keeping the morale, concentration up as high as possible. Very difficult when you're together, the number of games that this team has been together, for everyone to stay on the same page and not have the internal friction that takes place so often.
How about that statement, last chance to win, though? Well, they have had some internal friction, as we've heard, but it's been handled. It obviously hasn't affected them.
When you win at the pace of 57 wins, third best in the NBA that they have, and understand you still have an opportunity to go back and capture a third championship, those problems go away quickly.
And this figures to be a different Chicago Bulls team next season. Joe Crawford with the call on Kevin Willis. As reported by our Pete Vesey several weeks back, Tony Kukoc will agree to sign a contract with the Bulls. There are all kinds of speculation as to what the makeup of this club will be next year as they adjust salaries to make the cap. That's a reach-in on Koncak. And the Chicago Bulls trying to become only the third team in NBA history to three-peat. No club has won 3 consecutive titles in the last 26 years. Only the Minneapolis Lakers and the Boston Celtics have done it, winning at least 3 in a row. The 2 most recent teams to attempt it, the 1989 Lakers the 1991 Pistons, and both fell short. Michael Jordan now has 21. Bulls lead 82-67 with a minute and 53 to go. In the third, here's John Paxson reporting back. B.J. Armstrong hears it from the crowd. Sitting down next to Ed Neely, who is on the injured list. B.J. hit a couple three-point shots. Bulls 83 on the Hawks, 67. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from Chicago. Bulls trying to make it 2-0 in this best of 5. Willis battling for position with Grant, and a foul. It's on Grant. That is his 4th.
They changed up that time, the Chicago Bulls, how they came and double-teamed Kevin Willis. They came from the top that time to double-team. Rather than force him baseline, he comes back to the middle of the floor, his strength, but there comes the double-team from the top. The shove takes place down below.
Both teams over a foul limit. Willis is 3 out of 4 from the line. And here comes Adam Keefe for John Koncak. Kevin Willis only a 65% free throw shooter. Dominique Wilkins getting a rest. Wayne Farrell is back. Wilkins leads with 22. Casey King returns for Bill Cartwright, who hit 3 out of 3 in the third quarter. Cartwright with 8 points. 18 for Willis. 83-68, Chicago.
Going back to your statement that Phil Jackson made about the last chance with this team has perfect pieces. They have spot-up shooters in Paxson and B.J. Armstrong, guys who break down the defense and turn over that time as you try to get a little bit too cute. Scott Williams with the behind-the-back pass. You have guys that can break you down off the dribble. Normally it's a point guard. With this team, it's Jordan and Pippen. You have the Warriors, the Gladiators, that get on the glass and play good defense and block shots. In Grant, in Scott Williams, a center who's willing to pass first and shoot second, which for their offense, the triangle offense, is most important. So the concern is, will Cartwright move on? Will Paxson move on? How many of this group will remain with this team?
Michael Jordan committing number 4. It is most unusual to see Michael get into severe foul difficulty at this stage of the game, and he'll sit down, having a final discussion with the official Bennett Salvatore. Trent Tucker replacing Jordan. 8 of 19, 22 points for Michael Jordan. Bulls 83 on the Hawks, 69.
On his way out, Michael just reminded Bennett Salvatore that I normally don't get 4 fouls with a minute something remaining in the third quarter. It's unusual, Ben. Just want to remind you.
Pippen. So Scotty with the crossover to set it up against Keefe. And the Bulls now lead 85-69.
You have to get up and pressure Scottie Pippen. He almost shoots a set shot when it goes in and looks comfortable for him. When you make him do it off the dribble, it's not, and he is not as effective.
Farrell was fouled by King. And Wayne Farrell will go to the line. Averaging 10 points per game. Played in all 82 games. Only he and Adam Keefe saw action for the Hawks in all 82.
If there has been a concern as a team for both of these, Atlanta Hawks and the Bulls, it's their free throw shooting. Atlanta 19th in the league. The Bulls 22nd in the NBA from the foul line. Not a good free throw shooting team.
Chicago with a 15-point lead. 30 seconds left in the third. Pippen. Keefe with the rebound.
Quick shot and attempt by Chicago to get a 2-for-1. I think Scotty didn't realize he needed a little bit more time to make it more effective. Probably that time would have been better to run the clock down and only give Atlanta 3 to 4 seconds to shoot it going the other way.
And Henson running the clock down. Only 3 on the 24. Farrell from deep. Crowd wanted a foul as King hit the floor. It'll be Chicago ball. 7/10 of a second remaining in the third quarter. Scott Williams looping it for Pippen, who gets it off. And almost hit. to 3 in Chicago. The Bulls by 15. We'll be back at our local station. This the 286th consecutive sellout at Chicago Stadium. That dates back to November of 1987. 18,000 plus on hand. As we head to the fourth quarter, and Chicago with the sizable lead. Pressure by the Bulls. Adam Keefe gets it ahead for Steve Henson.
It's about the third time that Chicago has done that to Atlanta. Come out of a timeout situation just when Atlanta's drawn up a play, has everybody understanding. They go to the trap, and they produce a turnover.
11 steals by the Bulls. 3 apiece for Jordan and Armstrong. Pippen with 2. Michael Jordan is back. He's playing with 4 fouls. Rebound, Scott Williams. And a foul is called.
Scott Williams was mugged under the basket that time.
Henson called for the foul. It is a non-shooting affair. Jordan, Paxson, and Tucker in a 3-guard alignment for the first time today, along with King and Williams. Tucker guarded by Altman. Williams sliding in. He hits, and he is fouled.
Atlanta decided to stay at home, play straight up defense, 1 against 1. Scott Williams is big, strong, takes Kevin Willis off the dribble to the middle, and then as Keefe tries to come over and give help, it's just a little bit too late.
Kevin Willis called for the foul, his 4th. Dominique Wilkins checks back in. Mike, I know from your coaching days with the Hawks, you saw it firsthand, always much competition on and off the court between Dominique Wilkins and Kevin Willis, which can be good and bad for the ball club. But I recall reading about a situation where you stopped the bus out in Oakland. Hawks were on the West Coast to play the Golden State Warriors. What happened? These 2 guys ended up having a foot race. What was that all about?
Well, as Dominique gets his shot rejected, they were so competitive, and they wanted to be better than each other in so many areas that they couldn't decide who was the faster of the 2. So I had heard so much about it on the bus. I told the bus driver, pull over. There was a football field. The whole team got off the bus after practice, and then they just decided. They bet on who they wanted to, and they had a race, a 100-yard dash. In fact, in New York City one day, they took their shoes off and they raced down the streets of New York City, a block-long race.
And who won these contests?
Well, depends, it was so close. One said he won, the other said they won. Well, the guys were splitting their votes, so we called it a tie problem.
I'm sure they were satisfying to both. A minute and a half gone by in the fourth quarter. Bulls by 18, and a pushing foul called on Farrell.
Atlanta personal foul, 33, Dwayne Farrell.
For Farrell, his first. Dominique Wilkins among the group. Most points, no NBA titles. And some interesting names on that list. Alex English, Adrian Dantley, Elgin Baylor, Dominique Walt Bellamy. They will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Here's King, unorthodox, but he will take it.
Well, you let him expose that left hand to the basket. That's the one you have to cover up on him. He spun back into the lane area, was able to duck underneath and get the shot off. Stacey King struck down into that low post area. He came from behind his defender, got the pass, received it, and then when you let him come back and get a look coming to his left hand, he's a very effective post player.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
And this Miller moment takes us back to 1988, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Larry Bird and Dominique Wilkins went to battle. Wilkins went wild with 47 points, but Bird's 34, 20 in the fourth quarter, inspired the Celtics. They eliminated the Hawks 118-116 at the Boston Garden. Saw a stirring performance by a Hawk team able to rise above the coaching of this man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. The greatest series I've ever been involved with in the NBA. A chance to close it out, 3-2 coming home. The Hawks lost in Game 6 by 2. Go back to the Garden and have a chance. Actually have to miss the last foul shot on purpose to try and tip it in and tie it. Larry Bird, sensational, but so is Dominique Wilkins.
Dominique hits the 3. 25 for Wilkins. In recognition of that moment involving the Hawks and the Celtics, Miller Genuine Grant will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Here's Scott Williams, turned back by Adam Keefe, and he's fouled. Stacey King called on the personal. The Bulls lead by 17 with 9.5 remaining in the game. And Mike, as opposed to the Knicks and the Phoenix Suns, who have not had an easy time, the Knicks did win both games against Indiana, had a hold on in Game 1 and came from behind today. And of course, Phoenix has lost twice to the Lakers. Here's Wilkins getting inside. The basket counts and the foul. But as opposed to the Knicks and the Suns, the Bulls to this point have had their way against the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, maybe there's something to being in that role of the underdog, taking some of the pressure off. Both the teams that you mentioned, Phoenix, best record in the Western Conference, best overall in the NBA, the #1 seed there. New York, best record in the Eastern Conference, #1 seed. Both teams perhaps struggling a little bit tight in trying to hold that #1 spot.
Oh, what a play by Dominique Wilkins, setting up Kevin Willis, and the Hawks showing some signs here. They cut it to 13. Now by as many as 27 unanswered for Atlanta. Williams. And back comes Atlanta. Here's Henson for Wilkins. Keefe and Henson for 3. Keefe able to get to it. 9 straight points by the Hawks, and Phil Jackson calls for time.
Keefe does all the small things, but this guy does them in a big way. When you need a score, Dominique Wilkins will get it, and then shows you he can play unselfish ball.
Dominique Wilkins, now the Hawks' all-time leading scorer, passing Bob Pettit, who did it for the St. Louis Hawks. And this a very impressive stat. Most points scored after age 33. Dominique averaged 29.9 per game. This after Wilt Chamberlain felt that he would do other things aside from score. Elgin Baylor on the list, Kareem, Larry Bird.
Dominique, one of those guys that just has a zest for playing basketball. He would play a game every day, cut out practices, that's fine with him, but the basketball game, if he can play, he'd love to do it.
Michael Jordan to the reverse, yes, and it counts.
Now, Atlanta tried to come at him once they saw the double team. They were coming really from the inside of the court. Here comes Keefe. You see him there too late. He comes around. They tried to foul him before he could get it up. Instead, with the reverse underneath. You see Keefe comes high. He goes low. Willis is waiting. He never jumps. Instead, he watches. I don't blame him. It looked pretty good to me, too.
Pharrell on the foul, and the chant of MVP. Perhaps an answer to the chant that has taken place recently at Madison Square Garden, greeting Patrick Ewing when he has been at the foul line, and I'm sure that fans in Phoenix feel the same about Charles Barkley, and the same in Houston for Hakeem Olajuwon. Here's Keefe spinning in. Fielded by Willis. What a play by Kevin Willis, who now has 22. The Bulls 93 and the Hawks 81. A 9-0 run, getting the Hawks back into it. That run was stopped by Jordan. Jordan with the step. He thought he was fouled. Dominique Wilkins. Yes, and a whistle. The basket will count. And Dominique is on fire from outside. But a foul is called.
Atlanta personal foul to Stacey Ogden.
Todd Ogden away from the ball.
Well, Wilkins knows when he gets into one of those bubbles where almost anything he throws up there is going to go in. So he pulls up short that time, gets a good square look at the basket, and when he positions himself that way, he's a very good outside shooter.
Now Paxson to the line with Atlanta going over the limit. So what you're saying is that he's sometimes rushes the shot, does not get into proper position.
Or he's such an acrobatic player, he can take off and explode from so many angles that he doesn't get himself that solid base that he needs. In fact, his first couple of years in the NBA, his problem as a jump shooter really was he jumped so high. It was unnecessary to elevate that high. You look at Magic when he played, Magic shot a push shot from the outside. Michael Jordan, another one who doesn't elevate that high. Only occasionally do you have to really get to the ultimate in your jump.
And that's probably because one of the University of Georgia, when he was known for the most part as the human highlight film, he did not need the jump shot. That came later on in the pros. Bulls with the ball. They lead by 11. Paxson spotting up. 7 minutes remaining in the game. Jordan goes to the left hand. Jordan with a floater.
Wilkins was trying to influence Jordan to the next defensive player, who was Stacey Augmon. Instead, he opened up the lane too much. Michael got through it on his way to the basket before Stacey could come and help out.
27 for Michael Jordan. Wilkins changed his mind. Henson. And it was punched out of bounds. The officials checking it. The outside official, Crawford, said last touch by the Bulls.
You can see that Augman's late getting over there. Wilkins was anticipating the help, but because he opened up his stance too much, gave him too much of an open drive, Augman can't get there in time. Michael has that great first step going to the basket.
Rookie Blaylock, who has struggled, checks back in, replacing Steve Henson. Blaylock, 1 of 8 from the field. Now Pippen all over Wilkins. Wilkins battles his way, and that was rejected by Grant. That looked to be a pass that was knocked away.
Well, it looked to be a shot to me. That was knocked away that time. It's all, I guess, in the eyes of the beholder. Looked to me like he was trying to get it up there off the backboard.
I was giving Dominique the benefit of the doubt.
And he'll thank you for that.
Yes. And there's Wilkins, able to put it down on the scoop.
I know, that was another pass, right?
And Dominique has turned it after that 5 for 19 start. He is 6 of his last 8. So the Hawks hanging around. They're down by 11. They trail by as many as 20. A steal by Augmon, and he's fouled. That's number 5 on Jordan. Michael Jordan collects number 5.
Atlanta 4th in the league in steals, almost 10 a game. Augmon, those long arms up in the passing lane, gets that left hand out. Then Michael can do nothing as he comes right into him other than protect himself with the forearm and the foul.
Stacey Augmon sets up John Concat. Back comes Paxson. Pippen. Open shot for Scottie Pippen. So Pippen with 22, the Bulls 98, the Hawks 85.
There's this thing about protecting the basket, but when Pippen gets to the foul line area, someone has to step up and challenge him. It's a free throw.
Another Chicago steal. 3-on-1. Grant finished it off. And the foul. Chicago with his 12th steal of the game. And Horace Grant finished the play. Here's another look at it. Pippen leading a 3-on-1. The Bulls with a 185 lead as a timeout is taken by Atlanta. Well, back on July 19th, 1989, United Flight 232 crashed in Sioux City, Iowa. You witnessed the tragedy, and tonight you'll meet the courageous heroes who risked their lives to save total strangers on an all-new eyewitness video here on NBC, and then the network television premiere of Fried Green Tomatoes, which was a sensational movie. I know one of the rare movies that you caught last year's on because of your very hectic schedule. That's all tonight on NBC.
Well, as you know, I don't get the opportunity to go to very many movies. I watch a lot of basketball games. Which
look at that. Nice play. Wilkins in the exchange with Koncak, who thought he was setting a screen, and the Hawks still able to score on that sequence. 24 points for Kevin Willis. Bulls 101, and the Hawks 87 with 4:40 to go in this fourth quarter. Tucker and Paxson now in the backcourt. Michael Jordan sitting down after picking up his fifth. Jordan has not fouled out at all this season. Here's Pippen, and he was crushed.
This is one of those plays that you do from out of bounds where you bounce it off the defender when he's not looking so you can get it back again and run back in bounds. So Neek tries it at the top of the circle. This time, Pippen with the drive. They're not going to let him get an easy look at the rim, so instead he takes a seat on the floor.
Scottie Pippen is 4 out of 5 from the free throw line. It has been a injury-hit season for Scottie Pippen. Still bothered by the ankle problem, although says he's feeling much better recently. And he's had a very strong game. 23 points, 5 assists, and a couple of steals.
And he also makes mention of the fact that in a matchup like this, he has another tough assignment in trying to hold down the Dominique Wilkins. That takes away from part of his concentration as far as the offensive end goes.
Willis has 26. The Bulls lead by 13 as we come up on 4 minutes remaining in the game. Tucker for 3. Yes. Good look from Will Perdue to find Trent Tucker.
Chicago loses Craig Hodges. They pick up Trent Tucker. That same piece in putting this team together, the guy that extends the defense and hurts you from behind the three-point line.
Trent Tucker hitting his second three-pointer. Grant with the steal. Make it 13 steals for the Bulls.
It's another reason why teams will double team Kevin Willis. He is not a very good passer. He has very small hands, does not have good hands as a result. You can't force him into turnovers.
John Paxson. Well, the outside shot has returned for Chicago. John Paxson has had a tough season because of injuries coming back from the surgery on the left knee, but he's hit the jumper. And a foul is called as Wilkins goes to the floor. Foul on Grant. That is his fifth. Make it 5 on Horace Grant. Dominique Wilkins, 11 for 28, 31 points. Started slowly, then came on. Michael Jordan, 10 out of 24 for 27. Here comes Jordan, who has 5 fouls. Dominique Wilkins with 9 of his 31 in the fourth quarter.
Michael Jordan returns to the Bulls.
Dominique is 9 of 11 from the line. Here's Jordan back. And Phil Jackson will go with the 3 guards once again. Horace Grant hears it from the crowd. Strong game for Horace. Game 3 of this series at the Omni in Atlanta on Tuesday. Game 4, if necessary, in Atlanta on Friday night. And a foul call.
Hawks going into their version of the Chicago press after the free throw opportunity, extending it into a 3-1-1 type of trap. And that time, Chicago, trying to reverse the ball, picks up the foul.
So Willis called for his 5th. Atlanta has been over the limit. And a chant of 3-peat. Or MVP. I'm hearing things. You know, there were 3 people to my left chanting 3-peat.
I didn't say a word. I left you alone.
Here's Scott Williams. Trent Tucker will sit down. Michael Jordan averaged just under 33 points per game. during the regular season. He has 29 for the day, along with 4 blocks, 3 steals, 6 rebounds. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the game. And the Bulls lead 109-91. Wilkins, yes. Oh, beautiful fake off the step to the right, and then the fadeaway jump.
After Wilkins made the shot, somebody on the Chicago bench, whether it was Chip Schaefer, the trainer, or Tex Winter, the assistant coach, had something to say. Wilkins turned, had a nice little comment on the way back down the floor.
Dominique has 35. He's the high man. Shot clock at 3. Paxson, yes. He is 4 of 4 for 10 points.
Anytime Michael is forced to the middle of the floor and draws the next defender, Paxson's job with B.J. Armstrong is to float away from the action. Michael will get him the ball.
Just under 2 minutes remaining in the game. The Bulls have it well in hand. They lead 111-93. Another convincing victory for Chicago. Opened up by winning game 1 by 24. And now they lead by 20. Pippen has 25. Here's Blaylock. Shit. Mookie Blaylock draws the foul. So no surprises here in Chicago. The Knicks coming from behind earlier in the day to defeat Indiana to make it 2-0 in their best of 5. The Lakers doing it again to the Phoenix Suns, and they have won 2 out of 2 in Phoenix, looking to pull a huge upset over the team with the best record in the NBA. Next weekend, more playoff excitement right here on NBC as the best of the NBA continue their quest for the coveted championship trophy. Our Saturday schedule depends on the outcome of the first round series. If Seattle, Utah, and Houston and the LA Clippers both go to the limit, we'll have a Game 5 doubleheader for you beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time. Otherwise, you can join us at 3 Eastern for NBA Showtime. And if there are 2 games to be played, you can catch them both right here on NBC. Sunday, a triple header beginning at 12 noon. The NBA playoffs right here on NBC. Bulls now lead 113-97 with 1:15 remaining. Dominique Wilkins now has 37 points. Michael Jordan sitting down with 29. Scottie Pippen with 25. Darrell Walker has come on for the first time as he joins B.J. Armstrong and Trent Tucker along with Will Perdue and Scott Williams.
I'm sure Phil Jackson would have no problem in the final minute and 13 if Atlanta happened to cut into this lead just a little bit more to try and cut in on Bobby Weiss's pregame talk in Game 3 back in Atlanta, so it's not another blowout crush type of situation.
Bulls 115 and the Hawks 97. That's a 3. Well, Mookie Blaylock has been off right throughout. That is only his second field goal. He is 2 for 10, and the foul is called on Blaylock. With all the injuries and perhaps at times the lack of motivation on the part of the Bulls, Phil Jackson certainly feels good about the fact that the Bulls were, first of all, able to, as he puts it, able to patch together 57 wins during the regular season, and he feels that they are relatively healthy and ready as the playoffs get underway. That's what he said before Game 1. He said it before Game 2, and that appears to be the situation.
When you've won back-to-back championships, there's only so much you can say to the team during the course of the regular season because they understand that they can't win the third one until they get back to the playoffs again. So as hard as you try and send your messages across about gaining home court advantage, having the best record overall, they know that. They've been through it before. They've won back-to-back championships. You have to tolerate a little bit more after those 2 championships and letting him get back to this stage. But then you have to have him ready when the playoffs begin, which Phil Jackson seems to have done a very good job of that.
Shot clock down to 1, but it was last touched by Williams. Half minute remaining in the game. Walker all over Henson. Here's Willis for 3. Rebound, Wilkins. And had it knocked away. It'll be Atlanta ball. Chicago Bulls will take a 2-0 lead in this best-of-5 series. A series that will shift to Atlanta, game 3 on Tuesday night. And Trent Tucker just brings it across and will run it down. Standing ovation from this capacity crowd as they have seen the Chicago Bulls defeat the Atlanta Hawks 117-102, and they go up 2-0 in the best-of-5. When we come back, we'll be talking with Michael Jordan. Jordan leading the Bulls with 29. We'll be back right after these words.
For the second time. One of the things you were concerned with, your intensity going from game to game, but it seems like it carried over in this game tonight.
Well, I see everyone's losing the second game, and I think that was a lesson for everybody to kind of focus in on the second game and try to, if we can, keep the home court advantage and, you know, get it 2-0, and then hopefully go back and put pressure on them in Atlanta.
All right, what about the shot at halftime? When I saw that, the first thing I thought about was the commercial you did with Larry Bird.
Yeah, it's his turn, you know. It was just one of those shots where you just try to get something off, and you know, I had a good shot at it, and I just took it. It was luck, but I take it.
You said you couldn't wait for the playoffs. It looks like your team is getting healthier and stronger.
We're looking real good right now, but you know, we still got 13 games to go, and it's still early, but you know, I think I like the first couple of games the way we played.
All right, Michael, congratulations to you, and we'll see you later on.
Thanks.
All right, we'll be back with more from Chicago Stadium.